So, we all know what happened last week. This is actually now beyond a joke. Well, things were about to get a lot worse. This is a guide to my week on F1 2013. Day 1. After the inevitable 30 minutes it took to find a lobby, I finally found myself in Singapore, where it took me a grand total of 3 corners to find myself pointing in the wrong direction. But no biggie. Okay, slightly bigger biggie, but there's always the next race. Or perhaps the next race. Or maybe the race after that. Day 2. The day everyone simultaneously caught amnesia, as shown by everyone forgetting to press accelerate at the start of this race. This would also prove to be a day where physics just did not comply with F1 2013. It would appear as though Mr. Russian guy over here does not enjoy being in one place at one time, and thus magics himself in front of not only me and the Mercedes in front. Now that's not all, because we're now going to plunge into this hairpin. Now let's just stop there and zoom in. Now I wouldn't take a grade A physiologist to see that he's going to turn and spear off into the barriers. Right? Wrong. Because in fact he uses such a source of magic that in fact the other car goes off the track. But it wasn't just Mr. Russian kid who was magic, as shown by this Force India not only passing me out of nowhere, but then punting me out into the grass. Brilliant. Day 3. The day I found out my crew chief was in fact high.
Sebastian's race has ended, he's stopped the car.
Well, I would sincerely hope that he has. I'd be more surprised if he'd actually started the car in the first place, considering this is a no AI online race. I'd be more concerned if he'd have started the car, realised, actually no, I don't think I'm meant to be here whatsoever, and stopped it, rather than not even starting in the first place. I mean, what would he have had to be smoking to decide on that? I think that the more pressing question is here, Mr. Cruise Chief Guy, what the heck have you been smoking to have to tell me, on lap 2 of this really important online race in Singapore, in my Red Bull, that someone who isn't even in the race has parked their car and is now out? I could have probably guessed that in the scenario. In this particular situation, I probably could have had a pretty decent educated guess that he would have in fact stopped the car. I mean what, are you going to tell me that now Max Chilton stopped his car as well? Bar the fact that he's probably 17 laps down, I probably could have already guessed that, to be quite honest. Day 4. A day that looked like offering such a promising looking race here in Brazil as I look up the inside of a Caterham, unable to make my way through, get a bit of contact from a Force India behind, but it's all relatively hunky-dory here in 4th. And in fact it looks as if this battle is going to develop into quite a good one, with a Caterham and a Red Bull alongside each other up ahead. But let's just stop now. Because in theory, I should continue to take my line here, and hopefully the Red Bull will take the normal racing line here. Really, that's what should happen in theory. In theory. But in fact, what actually happens is the Red Bull goes slightly wide, and we end up having a racing incident where I get turned around. Or not, as the case may be. Day 5. So for the first time in at least 3 weeks, I'm now winning an F1 2013 race with a rather angry looking Spaniard behind here in Australia in my Toro Rosso. Guess what happens next? Yes, you guessed it, I get punted off and inevitably into the gravel, thus where I turn around. But hey, I have an 18-second gap over 3rd, so in theory 2nd should probably be on the cards. Oh, I appear to have missed my braking zone, no big...
That's us out of the race, the stewards have black flagged you. What the fuck?
Okay, so I think it's fair to say I'm moderately irked by said decision to disqualify me, but at least the other guy who punted me off must have got a penalty. So let me get this straight. Penalty and no penalty. Penalty, no penalty. My actual brain. Day 6. No. Not day 6, because in fact actually I was so annoyed at what happened collectively over days 4 and 5, I've decided to completely miss out that day altogether. So let's just skip ahead to day 7. That's it. I'm going on FIFA.
Here's the cross.